EF Ultimate Break markets itself as the best way to travel for anyone who's 18 to 35. They offer over 120 different trips, ranging from as short as 6 days all the way up to 57 days. And they take care of pretty much everything for you. That could be the flights, the accommodations, the itinerary, even some meals. Now, I went on the Germany, Italy, and Switzerland trip, which was 10 days, and in addition to those 3 countries, we also went to Austria and Liechtenstein. I made another video about this trip specifically, and I'll link it in the card above. I don't know which side it is. And I'm going to share what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, like my experience overall, and about the experiences that my friends who've taken other trips through EF have had as well. So let's start off with what I liked. Right off the bat, first thing is it's packed with so many different experiences. If there's something popular or very known to do in an area, odds are it's going to be in the itinerary. Second, given that this is a group tour, you might be wondering, am I going to have opportunities to go do what I want, or am I going to be stuck doing what everyone else wants to do? And I want to say that there is a really good mix of group activities and individual time that you can just do whatever you want, free time. So pretty much whenever you arrive to a new city, especially if it's a more major city, you will have a walking tour with a local guide. That guide will take you around, show you the sights, talk about the history and just culture of the area. But after that, within the day, you'll have a few hours that are free. You can go explore on your own with other friends you've made on the trip, or with the guide and the rest of the group. Additionally, if you're there in the city for multiple days, the second day will most likely be a free day with optional trips that you can do if you want, but you don't have to. Third thing. So there is a good mix of cultural activities as well as fun activities, because of course you're there to learn about the culture, soak it in, experience, but you're also there to have a good time. So there's definitely a good mix of when you're on the walking tour, you're gonna be learning about the culture, the people, the history of the area, but it's also part of your guide's job, the one from EF, to make sure you have a good time too. So my guide, personally, I think I was awesome. I'm going to talk about him more later, but we went to quite a few bars, having a good time getting drinks. We watched the Germany World Cup match in Munich at a bar. We went on gondola rides in Venice, and that's just to name a few things. And I have a friend right now who's going on Ultimate Europe, which is a 35-day trip, and he's loving it up at Oktoberfest and experiencing everything. So you're definitely going to have a good time as well. Okay. The fourth thing, they will take care of everything for you. You can have a nice, relaxing, laid-back trip if you really want. They will take care of the flights for you, and often, basically, what you pay for the flight through them, it's either at market price or maybe even a little cheaper. They take care of all the connecting flights as well, so you don't have to worry about that. They take care of all your accommodations as well. For my trip, it was usually hostels. The hostels were very nice and clean, and you're going to be just rooming with only other people from EF, so you don't have to worry about that. The doors do lock too, so your stuff is safe. I've heard that there are some trips that you do get some hotels, but I would say expect more hostels. So the fifth thing, kind of alluded to it a little bit, you will have a guide from EF that will help bring you around from location to location, but when you get to a specific location, you will have, for the walking tours, you can have a local guide that will help show you around, that is a little more knowledge on the specific areas. But the EF guides overall, they are generally pretty knowledgeable in my experience and the experiences of my friends. My guide on this trip, I loved him. He was awesome. We all did. The friend who's doing Ultimate Europe right now actually has the same guide, and it's, from all I've heard, is great things. Friends who've had other guides, again, all good stories. Of course, we can't guarantee it in a sense that you're going to have a great guide, but you just may not hit it off with them. But, at least in my experience and the experience of my friends, the guides are pretty good. So the sixth and final point that I want to talk about what I liked about EF is that you're going to meet people from all over. Generally, my trip was just all US people. I think it definitely has a pretty big US presence. Just listing off a few places, east to west on my trip alone, we had me in New York. We had one other person or two other people from New York. We had Philly, we had Atlanta, we had Chicago, Kansas City, Denver, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and that's just naming a few. There are so much more. So if you're coming on this trip to meet people, you definitely will. Quick pause. If you like this type of video and this type of content in general, please consider subscribing, giving a thumbs up, commenting. It helps out a lot, it means a lot. But with that out of the way, back to the video. So, of course, I'm not going to love everything about this trip, and there's going to be things I wish were different. Pretty much all of them are kind of related to the pacing of the trip overall. The first thing is that it was almost too fast-paced at times. There were certain areas that I wish I could have stayed out a bit longer. But we had to stay on schedule, and I couldn't spend that time there. Again, it's a group trip, so there's a schedule that you have to stick to. And if you've got to be on the bus or getting ready to go on like the train to the next place, like you better be there because you're gonna hold up everyone else, and they're not gonna leave without you. But again, you don't want to make everyone else on the trip mad too. The second thing, so like I said, it's kind of connected, is that you're going to spend a lot of time on the bus or maybe traveling around because they do want to show you a lot of things. And maybe it's just the trip I took, maybe just Europe or Central Europe in general. But yeah, we spent a lot of time on the bus going from country to country, city to city. And it's not obviously, not what you necessarily want to be doing, but at least you can catch up on sleep, you can hang out with friends that you've made on the trip, or you can just chill and take in the scenery. The third thing is basically, trying to put it in a good way, that it's almost like surface level travel. Now, it's because you're seeing so many things and there's not that much time. You are going to go see the very popular things. You're going to go see the things that you have to see in a new location when it's your first time there. And I think that's great. However, if you are trying to dig a little deeper, if you want to try to live like a local or just experience life, what it would be like in that area, it might not be the best type of trip for you then, because it is slightly more fast-paced. Before I give my final thoughts on EF and group travel in general, I want to take a step back and talk about group travel. Now, you might have seen on Instagram or YouTube that there are people living it up this summer in Europe or somewhere tropical. And even if you're remotely interested in travel, you probably got a decent case of FOMO. You may really want to travel, but maybe you're stressed out about planning everything for yourself. Or maybe you don't have anyone to travel with in general, or maybe for the specific location that you really want to go to. Or maybe, like myself, you want to go meet other people who are like-minded travelers and passionate about exploring the world. And that's where group travel really comes in. And from this one trip alone, I now have this group of travel friends, and they're not even just travel friends. These are people who have become incredibly close to me and I hold dear to myself. So I can't guarantee that you're going to have the same outcome or even something similar, but what I can guarantee is that if you just take the chance, push yourself out of your comfort zone, great things will happen. So you might be wondering if I would go again on another EF trip or another group trip, and yes, in fact I am. I'm already booked with those same friends I was just talking about. We are going to Japan in April of 2024, that's next April. And if you are interested in those types of videos or content, subscribe and just keep an eye out. This type of trip might not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you want to meet like-minded travelers, if you are a bit hesitant about going on a solo trip, or you just want a laid-back travel experience where everything's pretty much taken care of for you, then EF Ultimate Break and group trips in general might be perfect for you.